ridicule them. In public. Don't fall for the convention that we're all too polite to talk about religion. Religion is not off the table. Religion is not off limits.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Atheism is the opium of fools. They lack simple logic, go back to school. Psalms 14:1 calls them fools. They worship scientists and brag all day. That they all day are related to grass and hay. Atheists are tools, go back to school. Our sins free and a fool. They quit being a fool. Atheists are fools, go back to school. They have no basis for morality. They approve of the evils of immorality. They still kill and cuss without no fuss. They fail grade 1, so they ride the yellow bus. Atheists are tools. Atheists are tools. Go back to school. Jesus is really pitiful, pitiful. It's time to grow. Ignore the night and embrace the day. Read your Bible and do what it says. Atheism is cool. Jesus, real. Quit being a fool.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministries. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1 says that in the latter time some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3 says, before the man of sin is revealed, that there will be a falling away. Before the day of the Lord, there will be a falling away that will take place because men is going to stop listening to God and is going to listen to man. And that is precisely what many people today are trying to get Christians to do. They're trying to get Christians to listen to reason. Why don't they open their eyes? Like the Atheist Experience song says. I got a little project I'm doing with the Atheist Experience song. Stay tuned for that, ladies and gents, as you're not going to be seeing the Deconstruction Zone opener for too much longer. I'm going to be doing a different one. But today, I'm going to be asking a question to the audience, and I'm going to dedicate the entire room, the entire show to this one question that I'm going to ask today, and that's what the title says. And that is, can you be good without God? Now, the problem in 2025 is this. We think that if we do a video one time, we did something. And we forget that there are billions of people on the planet that needs to hear certain things. And sometimes God is going to use you to be able to influence a certain group of people. So in order for us to get our message out, sometimes we got to repeat ourselves. So the atheist community how can I put this? They are it ain't just atheists. When you got a person who is a criminal or a person who is doing something that they know that is wrong to the point that they teach other people to do it, to the point that they think that there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever, if there is a problem there. There's a fundamental problem there, right? So from the Christian worldview, we're already look at the world as being sinners, people who are separated from God, people who are dead in their trespasses and sins. We were not created to do whatever we wanted to do. We were created to glorify God. You know, that gets some people angry. Some people don't like the idea of glorifying God, putting God first, trusting in him. There are people out there that don't want to do such things. They want to do what they want. And they want to do it without consequence. They don't want to feel that guilt. They don't want to be punished for it. And we have to understand that as believers. Not everybody out there loves Christ. And not everybody out there is going to want to follow his word. Not everybody wants to be fruitful and multiply. Not everybody wants to glorify the Lord. Not everyone wants to sing his praises. There are people out there that if they had it in their power, they would utterly take God out if they could. And that's ridiculous, but there are some people out there that would actually do that because they think they're better than God. Why? I'm to this very day, even if I was not a Christian, I would still think that you would have to be very, very arrogant, cocky, and narcissistic to think that you believe that you're better than God, that your behavior is better than God. If you can't sit here and make an argument that you tell the truth all the time and never lie, if you can't sit here and tell me you've never stolen anything, that you never lusted after anybody, you never done anything wrong, I can't even put you in the same conversation. That's kind of like these moronic people putting LeBron James over Michael Jordan. 6 NBA championships, undefeated 6 times in the NBA Finals. LeBron James has lost 6 times, and he has been doing nothing but specializing in losing, quitting, and prolonging his career so he can get max contracts and losing and not playing. That is not GOAT behavior. That is not greatest of all time behavior. You have to be perfect or close to being perfect to be in that behavior. To be in those conversations. And if you're going to try to make yourself out to be God and say that you're better than him, you had better have a resume to be able to prove that. And I'm not talking about getting on here and using big words or supporting another person's channel or doing charity one time or giving somebody a donation one time. If you're going to try to compare yourself to God, I mean, at least do something with yourself, right? None of us on this planet can compare to the glory of God, can compare to the goodness of God. So when I ask this question, I don't ask it lightly. Can you be good without God? And my answer is, and I believe that the Bible teaches us this, that the answer is no. It is literally impossible. You cannot be good without God. You might be good in your own eyes, but it doesn't mean everybody else is going to look at what you're doing as being good. See, let me show you the fundamental problem. As a matter of fact, how about this? I'll show you a little video here and let you all hear it for yourself. I have a person here talking about why you can't be good without God. Because a lot of people just think this is just me. Man, these atheists have no idea how much work they got to do in order to try and in order to prove that that they're good and God isn't. Okay, let's go into this one right here. I think this guy makes a pretty good argument. This is the argument I was about to make, but I think I'm gonna let him make it first so that you can all see it. And this is why you can't be good without God. So check this out.
Can we be good without God? I understand where that question sometimes irritates my atheist friends. They hear it to be implying that Christians like me are suggesting if you're an atheist, you can't be a good person. But actually, the problem runs much deeper. I would suggest if there is no God, there's no such thing as goodness. The term collapses. You see, without God in the picture, what does the word good mean? Or maybe each one of us get to define it for themselves. I pick a set of values that I think are good. You pick a set of values that you think are good. But how on earth do we resolve our differences? We can't appeal upwards. Or maybe we let the state decide what goodness is. Well, probably most of us watching this video don't really trust politicians to decide anything, let alone what morality looks like. No wonder that Friedrich Nietzsche, the famous 19th century atheist, said, once you remove God, with God goes goodness. All you're left with is the will to power. So can you be good without God? No, you can't. Because without God, the term good is meaningless.
I would go so far to say that the word good doesn't exist without God. That's why it was so easy to defeat the people at the atheist experience yesterday. It was easy to defeat them because in the atheistic worldview, there is no such thing as good and there is no such thing as evil. As a matter of fact, I laugh every time I hear these knuckleheads say things like God isn't good. Are you using my Bible to define what good is? Are you using the Quran, or what are you using? Because atheism doesn't have a definition for good and a definition for evil. You don't have these rules for how you're supposed to live. So how do you know as an animal, as a higher evolved animal, how do you know what is good and what is evil? From your atheistic logical worldview. How do you know this? A lot of us are dying to know, because Matt Dillahunty is going to give you one idea of what's good. Arnold Ross is going to give you another idea of what's good. Rebel Apostate is going to give you another definition for what is good. This other person over here is going to tell you, and then this person, and then this person. Who's right and who's wrong in the atheistic worldview? Is it according to each individual? And I'm going to tell you why this is stupid and why human beings can't live that way. Let me tell you why you can't live that way and why the presupposition argument destroys these guys, okay? Because if we all did what we individually thought was good, our population would be gone like that. There'd be a lot of dead people out there a lot of people getting shot every day. Well, according to me, I think it's perfectly okay to kill this society and kill this society. I'll take it a step further. And if God doesn't exist, what's wrong with having a slave? I'll take it even further. If God doesn't exist, what's wrong with a school shooting? If God doesn't exist, what's wrong with a man violating a woman? If God does not exist, what's wrong with it? I don't know if you look at the animal kingdom, but I could swear I see cats doing something to other cats in the form of violating them. I see dogs doing it, and I see a whole bunch of other lesser evolved animals doing these things. Without God, how do you come to the conclusion what is right and what is wrong? I would like for some of the more evolved animals to come in here and talk to a human being about why, without God, they can be good. And I'm going to call you that because that's what you guys say you are. If you believe in the theory of evolution, you believe that you're a higher evolved animal. Just keeping it real. Gut-Sick Gibbon is a higher evolved animal. She's a mutt. Arnold Ross a mutt. Okay? If you believe in the theory of evolution, you are nothing more than an animal. That's what you are. According to your own worldview. See, you atheists make all of these jokes about us and what we believe. This week, y'all not going to like me because I'm going to start talking about the theory of evolution. And I'm going to start letting people know what you people actually believe at the end of the day. Then we're going to see how much you want to do about people's beliefs. You are a higher evolved mutt who believes that you are capable, just like your cat can determine what's good and evil. You believe that you can determine what's good and evil. Because without God, you claim that you can explain to everybody what's good and what's evil. You're not allowed to use the Bible. You're not allowed to use any of the other belief systems out there. All I want you to do is to bring your higher evolved animalistic butt in here and explain to me how you can be good without God. And then when you begin to think like this, you will understand why I'm talking like this. All right. So let me put the link out there. Listen to me. You don't got to come in the room. The audience already knows you guys are scared. We've established that for an entire week. Okay. Can you be good without God? That is the question. I don't believe it's possible because without God, you don't know the definition of good. You don't even know what the definition of evil is, according to your atheistic worldview. Oh, you're probably going to tell everybody, G-Man didn't put the link out there. G-Man, there's the link right there. And by the way, if you want to know how good the atheist community is, I put a little link in the chat here. I can't play this video on this channel. When you watch the video, you will understand why. Stop watching this video right now. Click that link and go see what these good people is supporting. Just go look at it. I'll give you a hint. It's when a person who is under 18 has relations with somebody who's over 18. Not only are they defending it, they want it. Click that link and you will see what I'm talking about. Click the link right there and we can see what good people do. And this is just a taste of what I can show you about what these people actually believe concerning them being good. Okay? By the way, I would like to thank the atheist community for not flooding my YouTube channel that I did yesterday when I called the Atheist Experience, telling me that I got destroyed, I was logically this, and I was logically that. Everybody visibly saw how frustrated those two were when they had to talk to me. Not everybody's gullible. That appeal to emotion isn't going to work on everybody, and it doesn't work on me. But if you are the smartest people on social media, if you own the internet, if you guys have a hold on logic and reason, click the link. Or do me a favor, shh, about Christians not being smart and not being able to do anything. And by the way, what I just got finished saying is for literally all of my brothers and sisters in Christ who's ever had to engage an atheist all around the world. What I did on the Atheist Experience was to glorify my Lord and my Savior, Jesus Christ, and it was for every Christian on social media who had to endure talking to these people who live in the land of make-believe. All right? Now, let's get to the secondary point of this particular video until we see who has the courage to come in here. Atheists constantly say they're against religion, that the world would be better without religion. I want to show some of the younger people what it looks like when you actually stop saying religion and you start naming the religions. I think it's kind of funny, don't you think? So, so a quick screen share here. I think you guys will find this interesting. So, the world will be better without religion. I think I kind of agree with you, you know? Let's take a look at this here real quick. Hold on. Actually, no, not this one. I don't want this one. Not yet. That one's got a whole lot of them. So when they say that there's no religion, I'm going to show you guys some of the religions that they're talking about. Here we go. So according to the atheist community, we would do better without the following. These would be non-theistic religions, ladies and gents. First of all, let's get a quick definition of these, which focus, okay, these are religions which focus on philosophy, ethics, spiritual development, rather than the creator God, alongside practices of Confucianism, focus on the ancestral reference of and ethics, and modern movements like secular humanism or ethical culture, and Satanism. So let's look at this real quick here. So atheist believes that the world will be better without Buddhism. That is a non-theistic religion. Let me say this again. Atheists believe that the world will be better without non-theistic religions. That would involve Satanism, which is made up of atheists. If you think I'm making this up, go look it up. Go look up who is the ones that make up the Satanic Church. It is LaVeyan Satanists. It is atheists. Atheists are the ones that make up LaVeyan Satanism. Secular humanism is a religion. It is a non-theistic religion. When they say that we need to get rid of religion, I'm assuming they're talking about secular humanism, which 99.9% of these atheists practice, preach, and teach. Taoism and Taoism emphasizes living in harmony with Tao in the natural universal way, often focusing on the balance of spontaneity with varied views of deities. And by the way, atheists practice a lot of these, by the way. I just want to let y'all know. These are the religions that you'll find atheists practicing. Jainism, a spiritual tradition that emphasizes non-violence and liberation of the soul without a supreme creator God, that it acknowledges gods as being who also needs liberation. Confucianism, primarily a philosophy and ethical system focused on social harmony, folly, piety, and ancestor veneration rather than divine worship. Here's my personal favorite. When we got to get rid of religion, we have to get rid of secular humanism, a non-religious philosophy emphasizing human reason, ethics, and justice, finding meaning and human potential in the natural world. If you want to have some fun with the atheist community, when they say we need to get rid of religion, let's tell them we need to start with secular humanism. And when they say it's not a religion, show them how it is a non-theistic religion. Because unfortunately, many of these atheists on social media are so uneducated and are so gullible, they believe in order to have a religion, you have to have a deity. Okay? Ethical culture, Society for Ethical Culture, focuses on the ethical living community without supernatural beliefs, appealing to those seeking religious community without deities. Satanism, LaVeyanism. I absolutely love this one. Atheistic Satan is a symbol of individualism, rebellion, and carnal existence, not a worship entity. You know what? Maybe we need to get rid of two of these first, and that's Satanism and LaVeyan Satanism, and we need to get rid of secular humanism. Since they want to get rid of religion and they don't want to be specific about what they're talking about. Non-theism, a broad term for religions that don't center on a god or gods, encompassing atheistic, no gods, and agnostic, God's existence, unknown, irrelevant beliefs. Irreligious atheism. Atheism is a lack of belief in God. They keep forgetting that atheism in the United States is a religion. That's why I laugh every time I hear, we need to get rid of religion. We need to get rid of religion. If the government did that, atheism would be gone overnight. Irreligion, and then all of a sudden, no, people need to have the freedom to believe what they want to believe. Irreligion, atheism. Atheism is a lack of belief in gods. Irreligion covers non-religious systems that still provide meaning, like humanism or SBNR, spiritual but not religious. So atheists, when we talk about getting rid of religion, should we start with atheism, secular humanism, and all of the other religions that atheists actually practice? Aaron Ra, for example, is part of the LaVeyan Satanic Church. Perhaps we should get rid of his religion first. So you guys are so much cowards. Not only will you not come in here, you're not man or woman enough to say, I'm against Christianity. Let me tell you something. If I wasn't a Christian, I'm the kind of person that's going to walk in the room and I'm going to say, you know what, I just don't agree with you Christians. I'm not going to be mock them, ridicule in public. Don't be all too polite, that religion. Why don't you be specific? Be a man or a woman about it. Okay? Like man up. Grow a set. Actually get on here and say, I am against blah, 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 blah. I love this new atheism that we see today, because new atheism is cowardism. They only go to echo chambers. They only support people who say what they want to hear, showing that we are correct about these people and their worldview. A person can be righteous without God. Question, is that person's righteousness filthy? Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that one. But no, I don't believe a person can be righteous without God. No. A person can be righteous without God. Question is that person's righteousness filthy? I don't know what that means. Okay. All right. But the point of the matter is that atheists claim that they can be good without God. If you can be good without God, I'll tell you what. I already did this earlier. I'll do it again. Oh boy. I think I put the link out there. By the way, if you want to get your laugh on and you want to see what good people do, there's a link right there. So you can't do this when you're on the atheist experience. But if that guy ever comes to my YouTube channel, atheists can be good without God, then I'm going to show him the video here where that person is supporting and saying that they have the right to be people over the age of 18 having relations with people who's under 18. If you smell what the rock is cooking. And if you don't believe me, like I said, click that link. It's right there in the live chat. Take a look at the video. And I'll tell you what. I'll even screen share you what it looks like. I won't play the video, but I'll screen share it. You know what I mean? I am protected under fair use. So I'll let you all see what I'm talking about in a minute. This is the video you're going to be looking at. Atheist view on Catholic. You know what? This right here. Watch this video and listen to what this moron right here has to say. Ask him what his gender is after he finishes telling everybody what he believes about this. It's absolutely disgusting. You got to take a look at it. And by the way, that's just one video. I can show you them being racist. I can show you them in their discourse just talking about some of the most heinous and disgusting things. I got it all. Me, Brett, we got it all, which is how filthy and disgusting these people are at the end of the day, who claim that they can be good people without God. If you can be good without God, could you please come in here and beat me up with a dictionary and show me what the definition of good is and what the definition of evil is? But you're not going to do it. You know what you're going to do? You're going to wait for your pastor, Deconstruction Zone, to come on. You're going to wait for your deity, Matt Dillahunty, to come on, and you're going to listen to everybody he has to say. You're going to get your notebook and you're going to take down notes, and then you're going to come to my YouTube channel and try to use those arguments against me, forgetting that both of those guys are running from me. Just keeping it real. Let me show you something what it says in the Bible here real quick. This is in Psalm chapter 2. I think this is popular amongst us Christians. You know what I mean? It's very encouraging to remind us how you guys are wasting your time. And I'm going to show you what I mean when I actually read this, because you're actually mentioned in here. I think a lot of you call yourself heathens, right? So let's go into this here real quick. Psalms 2. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex in his displeasure. Yet I have set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. The Lord hath said unto me, thou art my son. This day I have begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance. And I've seen them do that before. And the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with an iron rod, and thou shalt dash them to pieces like potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and ye perish from the way, when his wrath be kindled but a little. Blessed are all that put their trust in him. Now, I got somebody here in my chat here that wants to come in here. I don't know what he believes. I don't know who he is. So let's just do this here real quick before we bring him in here. How are you doing, Jay Gee? How you doing? How you doing, Jay Gee? You're on Preaching to the Choir Ministries. You gotta unmute your microphone. If you've never been in here before.
Oh, hey man, how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Oh, good. I didn't know you had me on, but I guess you're not showing me because I'm new. Just wanted to make sure I was like legitimate or something.
All right.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm a Christian. I just heard about you. I heard your name from some other people, and I just popped over. I subscribed to you, saw you were on here. I was running a stream myself, actually. I try to get conversations with atheists often, but they back away because I tend to go into questioning their presuppositions and assumptions. For instance, like when you ask, can you be good without God? I would obviously say no, but to an unbeliever, I'd say, what is good without God? What is the term itself? It just becomes a subjective preference based on your feelings. So.
Exactly. I totally agree. They can't define for us what is good. They can't define for us what's evil, because according to their worldview, it's just them, and they're all a product of evolution. They're just highly evolved animals at the end of the day. That's all they are.
Right. So the ethical system they promote ultimately becomes subjective. So anything that they argue can be boiled down, reduced to opinion, and then even further into absurdity, just molecules in motion, bringing out some sort of speech pattern that's pointing to something they like or don't like. So I don't get many conversations going with atheists anymore, because they tend to want to stay away from the a priori subject matter, right? They're assuming things that they're bringing into the conversation prior to the conversation itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're committed to something by faith. Like typically an atheist will say there's uniformity in nature, identity over time. But when you start asking them what keeps that in place, how can you account for such a claim? There's nothing there. And I'm looking for more people who are in the same line of thinking, who want to go to what is prior in the conversation rather than opening a Bible and letting an atheist point at the Bible and try to get you to have a conversation with them. Because that's an endless game in a sense. And I was kind of wondering what your style is. What do you do? How do you interact with atheists?
I'll let you know in 1 second. What I try to do is I try to be, it depends. It depends.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm talking to them about whether or not God exists, or if I'm trying to talk to them about morality, my whole goal is to get them to either think about the stuff that's coming out of their mouth or to show them how absurd some of the claims that they're making is, in regards to the things that we're talking about. Like, for example, with the atheist experience yesterday, that I asked him, I basically brought out that I didn't think that he could be good without God. And we had a discussion about that. And the goal was to get the audience to see that it wasn't a slam dunk for them, that I had valid points to believe that there was nothing that they can do to be good. Now, as far as like trying to prove that God exists to them, the whole goal is to show them that they don't really have a good reason to be an atheist to begin with. A lot of them identify with atheism, but they're not really atheists themselves. So I try to get them to see that. And if I can't get to them, then I know most of the time I can get to the people who watch them. Yeah.
I see. I find it to make more sense to go after the foundation and show that they're not making sense. They have no reason to have faith in whatever it is they have faith in.
Right.
And because that way you clear the way for a potential witness. They've got something in the way, right, of receiving information about Christ, about God. And instead of just saying, well, I think Jesus is the truth, I believe this, here's my testimony, I'm going to go to the foundation and say, what is it that you rely on to know what is true, what is real, how to behave? And I think when you start asking those questions, you get to the more, the meat of what they actually believe, the things they don't typically talk about in a sense. And I think that's important to draw those things out, because you can easily show that an atheist is operating in faith in all respects of their life. It's when you start asking, what is your faith actually in? That's when it gets interesting.
Right. No, I agree. I totally believe that they have faith in the things that they believe, because whenever they're trying to make their points about whether it be evolution, whether it be about anything that they believe, a lot of times it's not based on anything like anything that's grounded. It's based on how they feel and what their emotion is on a particular day. You know what I mean? Like, for example, they believe that all forms of slavery is wrong. And unfortunately, a lot of people believe this. They believe that all forms of it is wrong. But God himself never said that all forms of it was wrong, right? When I make a statement to the atheist and I say that, and I do this on purpose, I'll openly admit this. When I say to them that there is nothing wrong with a human being owning another human being in of itself, basically means you can own me right now or I can own you. There's nothing wrong with that. The problems that most people in society have is when a person owns you, what do they do with you? And when they see you being treated harshly, that's the problem. So most of the time when the atheists are arguing with me about slavery, they're arguing with emotion. They're not arguing over history. They're not arguing over culture. They're not arguing over governments and how governments are running, nothing like that. They're just arguing on pure emotion. You know what I mean? And it's important to show the audience that that's the case, because when you do, you can show that they're the ones not being rational, they're the ones not being logical, and you're the one that's actually making sense.
Yeah, right. If you reduce them to their feelings, which is empiricism, essentially, sense data, observation, and experience, it's a reductio ad absurdum, ultimately. It shows that they can't actually account for things like meaning, value, purpose, transcendental categories, and so forth. They're just assuming those things. So you show that they're arguing from their feelings, and ultimately, if you're arguing from your feelings, well, anyone else's feelings that diametrically oppose your feelings are completely relevant. There's no standard in place. So you just have this relativistic framework where you're like, well, I don't like this, and I don't like that, and the other person can say, well, I don't care. And you're really getting nowhere. But most people like to navigate conversations in such a way. So I see a great need to continue to go to what is prior to what they're bringing in the conversation. And always, like you're saying, move to point out that you're just arguing from feelings. The muff feelings is a huge theme I've been focusing on for a while now, because it's just becoming more and more relevant as I critique people or talk to people. Like, ultimately, this person is just giving me an account of how they feel at the given moment. There's no standard here.
Exactly. It's all subjective, and it's all based on a person's imperfect opinion, and getting them to understand that, or getting their audience to understand that, is super important, because when you plant the seed, it's like, wait a minute, I don't like Christianity, but that Christian's making sense. What he's saying is right, and it's based on something tangible. And what this atheist is doing is embarrassing us, and he doesn't base it on anything. He's basing it on how he feels and his emotions. Like, for example, would you watch the Atheist Experience yesterday?
No, not yesterday.
One of them made it, because I called into the show, and one of them made a statement, and I asked them which scholar, because they were just getting on my nerves, and I was like, which scholar actually agrees with the stuff that's coming out of your mouth, with your biblical interpretations? And he mentioned Bart Ehrman, and he mentioned Deconstruction Zone. Now, Bart Ehrman is an atheist, right? And Deconstruction Zone is an atheist, but he's an overly critical atheist. Like, he takes criticism to a whole nother level when he comes our way, right? He has a master's in divinity, and they're saying that he's their scholar that agrees with what he's saying. Every time somebody deconverts and becomes an atheist and they went to seminary, they try to prop that person up as being some type of scholar that we're going to respect, when they don't even use the degree. Let me ask you a question. Let's say, for example, I deconverted to atheism, right? And I talked about the Bible, right? And nothing I said about the Bible was accurate or correct. Could I be used as a theologian, or be used as some type of expert if everything that's coming out of my mouth about the Bible is wrong?
No, that's exactly what I'd move to point out, that the judgment system, the epistemology, the knowledge, and the ethics of the person pointing out things are wrong are in question. How does this deconverted atheist know that contradictions are wrong, or that it's wrong to use contradictions if it benefits their well-being or flourishing? You get into those types of conversation because they make their standard flourishing well-being, and you say, well, I like to use contradictions, and I like to have slaves because it increases my well-being, and I see that as more beneficial overall to the well-being. You can just paint it within the framework that they make up and show them that they can't really stop an opposing belief.
Atheists understand that human beings make decisions based on emotion. That's why they appeal to it. And it doesn't even matter that they're committing a logical fallacy. Give me 1 second here.
Yeah.
My battery's going to die. Hold on. If I don't plug this in. I just realized I need to plug this thing in. All right, there we go.
It's fine. I have trouble with that too. They're like, what are you talking about? We all have feelings. We can have feelings. I'm saying, I'm not minimizing your feelings. I know feelings is part of the experience. It's when you use it as the foundation of your worldview or your argument is where you're going to fail.
That's right. Right. Especially when they claim that they're into science and they want evidence for everything. Right. So they'll make a gotcha moment statement about slavery, knowing full well that there's a statement that can be made. But what they do is they put you in a situation where you have to say something, and then you say it. They call you a horrible person, hang the phone up on you, and they go to the next person and say, oh, that person's terrible and he's horrible. One of the advantages I got arguing the way I argue is I'm a black man doing this, right? So they can't tell me, I don't know nothing about no slavery, because I can go on my phone right now and show you for where I'm at today, all the way up to the people that own my family, right? So I think I know a thing or two about this topic. So when I'm talking to them, I make them feel uncomfortable because I'm saying that there are instances where slavery is moral. And then obviously we have a whole lot of instances where it is not moral. You got a person that can go into it willfully because they can't afford whatever, you know what I mean? They can go into it as a
Well,
indentured servitude or a whole bunch of other
yeah,
different ways.
yeah. That's essentially like going in for employment. Essentially, you become someone's, worker, and they're going to tell you to do things, and you make an agreement. But I think it's a long conversation getting into slavery there. I think it's ironic though that most people don't realize that they're income slaves, that they have to pay to work. They don't even see that as slavery. You have to give away like
most people
25%.
don't understand that the elite, that the people with the money would never want to be an employee because they look at it like slavery. Like it's a really, really deep topic that atheists just talk about on the surface level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just want to talk. Yeah, they basically just want to get into the biblical idea or the traditional African slavery, but it's a very wide topic, in fact. Yeah.
So let's talk about this here real quick. So in the Bible, it talks about that you can beat your slave as long as your slave don't die. And then they'll like drag this on to like a 9-hour video talking about how immoral God is. Look at him. He can beat his slave as long as the slave doesn't die. Then they forget about the rest of the Mosaic law, right? Let me ask you this. In the Bible, what would the only reason you would have to beat a slave?
The only reason you would have to own a slave?
No, to beat a slave. In Israel, you just can't beat a slave for the sake of beating a slave. You would be in violation of the Mosaic law.
Right.
The only way you can beat a slave if you violate the Mosaic law. And then that same Mosaic law says that if you beat your slave and that slave dies, there's going to be a penalty for the master. So when it sits there, I got Dylan Hunty on this one. He didn't even know what to do when I brought that up. But it says that you can beat your slave as long as he doesn't die. But let that owner beat that slave and he dies, and watch what happens to the owner. You know what I mean? The Mosaic law protects both the slave owner and the actual slave.
So like you're viewing it like when it says you can beat him but not kill him, even in the engagement of beating him, there's still a problem. But if you take that further step, maximal problem type of transgression. Right. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And in Israel, you can't just beat your slave for no apparent reason. He has to be breaking the Mosaic law. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. But when you mention that, they always try to make sure you don't mention that. And let me tell you what else they don't let you mention. They don't let you mention Exodus chapter 1. Try to have a discussion with them about Exodus chapter 1 and what the Egyptians was doing to the Hebrew babies and whatnot, and how God avenged the Hebrews during the plagues of Egypt. They don't want you talking about that. All they want you to, God never condemned slavery. And that's all they do.
I'm fine with that. I don't even want to go into the Bible with them because I wanted them to establish their foundation for right and wrong. I'm good with that. I'm not saying I want to stay away from the Bible as a Christian, but when you're dealing with an atheist-minded hardhead, let's just get into good and bad and good and evil before we even start pointing at what is and what isn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So a lot of these atheists, they get on social media. They want you to go on their platforms where they control everything, where they can mute you, where they can do everything, so that they can control everything and make you look as bad as possible. You notice they don't want to come on here. They don't want to go on a neutral channel. They don't challenge you to go on somebody else's channel and have a conversation with you and nothing like that. It has to be on their platform where they can make all of the money and where they can control everything and make you look as bad as possible. And I should tell you something about atheists.
Yeah, that is a fair point. I mean, it's a general point, but I think you have some people in mind, like the atheist experience and the hang up. And I do know what you're talking about. I mean, I'm just saying it is person to person, but I do gather that that would happen probably more often.
If you call the atheist experience, they can mute you whenever they want. They can hang up on you whenever they want. They can overtalk you whenever they want.
Right. Maybe I should go over there because I'll try the methodology on them. I'll just kind of leave it in their court and say, just go ahead and give me, what bad and good are. And if you're just going to tell me well-being and flourishing, I'm just going to ask if that's an opinion or preference, how that's grounded. That's probably as far as it's going to get. But at the same time, it proves that they're just assuming things they haven't worked out. So I guess we all play our own part in how we, navigate with that, with the atheists. But you're right. They're not going to play by any rule. They're the rule makers in their own eyes, right? So for them to hang up on you and act that way is not a problem for them.
Right.
They don't have
There's no
anybody to answer
consequence
to.
in them at all.
Yeah, I'm gonna put I'll put my channel there in the private chat. I was actually streaming when I popped over here. I was just looking for people to critique, but I'll come by and visit you again, and maybe you can come over sometime. I've enjoyed the chat thus far. I just didn't have as much time as I wanted, but my name's JG, as you see there on the screen, and yeah, good to meet you, man. I'll see you around for sure. All right. God
All right, you
bless.
too. God bless. If you ever need a guest on your show, let me know.
All right. Take care, man.
All right, no problem. Later. All right. So let's see, 45 minutes and 20 seconds. So let's stop there today because I don't really got nobody watching right now. It's like one, I mean, unless StreamYard is telling me something different than what the reality is, I think only one person is watching. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna end this show. And I am going to go live again later in the week. I'm going to take a break since I've been doing this every day since Sunday before I call it the Atheist Experience. So if you're an atheist, I want you to think about that. I want you to think about why you believe that you can be good without God. And I want you to think about another thing. Hopefully somebody will timestamp this for somebody. I want you to think about this too. All right, because this is important. Why do you only want us to come to your echo chamber? Are you so insecure in your beliefs that you can't go on a channel where somebody disagrees with you? Just think about that. And until next time, guys, this has been another edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministries. I want to let the atheists know out there that Jesus Christ is Lord, that Jesus is going to return a second time. And he ain't coming back as a baby in no manger. When he comes back, he's coming back here as the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and he's going to righteously judge this world. And you're either with him or you're against him. You're either going to remain in your sin or you're going to turn from your sin. I want you to think about that. When you start going into my comment sections, start calling me a bunch of names without actually dealing with the topic of the actual video. Because if you know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you're going to heaven. If you don't know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior and you die in your sins, you're going to hell whether you believe it or not. Read your Bible and do what it says. God bless.
The fool has said